stop scrolling for 10 seconds because what I'm about to tell you is going to make you angry. In 1954, a man named Earl Henson, living in a tiny brick house in Joplin, Missouri, paid off a 15-year mortgage in 4 years and 7 months. He never got a raise. He never inherited a dime. He never touched a stock. He used 20 quiet little side hustles that nobody talks about anymore. And the bank manager who handed him his deed actually asked him how he did it. Earl just smiled and said, "You would not believe me if I told you." Today I am telling you. Let me set the stage. After the war, mortgages in America were brutal. A $2,000 home loan was the equivalent of about $30,000 in buying power, and the average factory worker made around 50 cents an hour. People did not pay off houses on their salary. They paid them off on the side, quietly, in cash, in their kitchens, their garages, their back porches, and the alley behind the church. The first hustle on Earl's list was something he learned from his mother. He collected used cooking grease. Restaurants threw it out. He picked it up for free in old metal pails, strained it through cheesecloth, poured it into reused tin cans, and sold it back to a soap factory in Springfield for 9 cents a pound. He hauled 40 pounds a week. That is $3.60 in 1954. Roughly $43 in today's money. Just from grease, from garbage. The second hustle was even quieter. Earl rented out his side yard, not for parking, for storage. A traveling salesman who covered the 4-state region needed a place to leave his sample trunks between trips, and Earl charged him $2 a month for a corner of his shed. Then a second salesman heard about it, then a third. By the end of 1955, Earl had 11 men paying him to leave boxes in his shed, $22 a month, every month, for doing absolutely nothing but unlocking a door. Think about what that means right now. Somewhere in your town, a contractor needs to store ladders. A traveling nurse needs to leave equipment. A small online seller needs a dry corner for inventory. And your garage is sitting empty. The third hustle was sharpening. Earl learned from an old German neighbor how to put a real edge on scissors, kitchen knives, garden shears, and barber blades. He bought a foot pedal grinding wheel at an estate sale for $1.50. He hung a hand-painted sign on a fence post that said "Sharp by Saturday, 10 cents a piece," and within 2 months, he had a waiting list. Now hold that thought, because before I get to hustle number 4, I need you to understand something the modern internet has completely buried. These hustles worked because they solved annoying, repeating problems for people who already had money. They were not glamorous. They were not scalable. They were not businesses in the modern sense. They were small, sharp tools used by patient men and women who wanted to be debt-free before their hair turned gray. And every single one of them still works in 2026 with almost no modification. Hustle number 4. Earl sold worms, live earthworms. He dug them out of his own backyard after rain, packed them in coffee cans with damp newspaper shreds, and sold them to fishermen heading out to Grand Lake. 25 cents a can, 40 cans on a good Saturday. That is $10 in a day in 1955, which is $120 today, before lunch. And every bait shop in America that still exists is still buying worms from someone. It might as well be you. Number 5. Earl's wife Margaret did something they called overnight mending. Working men ripped their work pants constantly. Margaret picked up a basket of torn pants from the rooming house down the street on Friday evening, mended them by lamplight, and returned them Saturday morning, neatly folded for 15 cents a pair. She did about 30 pairs a weekend. That alone covered half their monthly mortgage payment. Number 6 was egg trading, not selling, trading. Earl kept 6 hens and traded fresh eggs to the butcher for soup bones, to the grocer for flour, and to the mechanic for oil changes. By eliminating cash purchases, he kept more of his paycheck. Forgotten hustle, but identical to modern barter networks that some communities are quietly building again right now. Number 7 is where it gets interesting. Earl rebuilt small engines, lawnmowers people had given up on. He picked them off the curb on trash day, replaced spark plugs, cleaned carburetors with kerosene, and sold them through the classified ads for $3 to $5 a piece. His total cost per machine was almost zero. His profit margin was infinite. Today, the curbs of every suburb in America are stacked with dead lawn mowers, broken weed eaters, dead leaf blowers, and people pay $40 to $100 for refurbished ones on Facebook Marketplace. Number 8. Earl raised rabbits, not as pets, as meat. $6 and $1 produced over 200 pounds of meat a year, which he sold to a butcher who labeled it as specialty stock. Quiet income, low overhead, 8 kitchen scraps. Number 9. He sold firewood, but not the way you think. He did not chop trees. He drove out to logging roads on Sunday afternoons and collected the scrap pieces loggers left behind. Free wood. He split it on his back porch and sold it by the wheelbarrow load. $2 a load, 10 loads a weekend in the fall. Number 10 was the strangest one. Earl charged neighbors 25 cents to listen to baseball games on his radio, because not every house had one yet. 5 men, 25 cents each, every Friday night. $1.25 a week for letting the radio play. The modern version is renting out a corner of your living room as a quiet co-working spot. People are doing it on Peerspace right now for $50 an hour. Now stay with me, because hustles 11 through 20 are where Earl's mortgage really got destroyed. 11 was photo developing. Earl bought a used darkroom kit from a widow for $2 and developed neighborhood photos for 10 cents a print. 12 was selling kindling bundled with twine to people too lazy to chop their own. 13 was Margaret's pie route. She baked 4 pies every Wednesday and delivered them to the same 4 families every Thursday at 50 cents each. 14 was wallpapering, which Earl learned from a library book and turned into weekend work for $2 a room. 15 was selling rendered fat to candle makers. 16 was raising and selling tomato seedlings every April for a nickel each. 17 was a Saturday morning shoe shine set up outside the bank. 18 was knife and fork engraving for wedding gifts. 19 was repairing broken porcelain with rabbit skin glue, which he could fix in about an hour and charge $1 for. And 20, the most quietly profitable of all, was charging $2 a month to deliver a hot lunch in a tin pail to a bedridden widow 3 streets over. 4 widows, $8 a month for 40 minutes of walking. Add it all up. Even averaged out, Earl was clearing somewhere between $60 and $90 a month in extra income, which by 1956 he was throwing entirely at his mortgage principal. The interest collapsed. The term collapsed. The house was his. So here is what I want you to take away. Earl did not have one big idea. He had 20 tiny ones, and they overlapped like roof shingles. If one rained out, the next one covered him. That is the real forgotten secret. Modern people chase one massive home run. Earl chased 20 small, boring, reliable singles, and he beat his bank by 10 years. If you got even one usable idea out of this, hit that subscribe button, because next Tuesday I am posting the 20 forgotten cash skill schools quietly stopped teaching in 1985, and number 14 on that list is something I guarantee you have never heard of. Tell me in the comments which of Earl's 20 hustles you would actually start this weekend. Number 4, number 9, number 20. I read every reply, and the first 10 I see, I will personally answer with a detailed how-to. Stay forgotten. Stay free.